Hey, what's up guys? It's Galaxy Tech Dark Lord here, coming at you guys with a Sylvan deck profile for the current format, April 2014. Sylvans are basically new plant archetype with a pretty good ability, which allows them to kind of have a link to the previous plant OTK archetype as well. So, and they focus on basically, they're like light swans, but they focus on milling only plants, so they just mill the stuff that you want to mill, everything else goes to the bottom of the deck. They're really good at getting your rank 8 plays off as well for Xyz monsters, and even cards like this are just good at good beaters as well. It's pretty consistent. The plays I've been getting on DevPro are quite good, even though they're quite unrealistic compared to the hands that I've been getting, which are also quite good. So I'll get straight into this. For the monster lineup, we have 3 copies of Sylvan Hermitree, big beating boss of the deck. Allows you to excavate the top card of your deck and then either put it on the bottom of the deck if it's not a plant. If it's a plant, you send it to the graveyard and then you can draw a card. And then if it's a Sylvan plant, then that sets off its effect. Then we have 3 Sylvan Peaskeeper. It's basically the reborn of the deck. When it's excavated, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower plant type monster from your graveyard. So it's not just a Sylvan card. It can go for anything, which makes your plays with Hermitree all the better, because you could put Lonefire in the graveyard, somehow stack this with something like Mount Sylvania, and then excavate it with Hermitree, and then get your Lonefire back, go for another Hermitree. It also has another threat. When it's normal or special summon, you can excavate the top card of your deck. That's nothing out of the ordinary with almost all of the Sylvans. And lastly, it can only the effect that allows it to special summon a plant from your graveyard is a once per turn only thing per Sylvan card. So you can only activate the effect of Sylvan Peaskeeper once per turn. Then 3 copies of Sylvan Komushroomo, big beefy 2000 defense. If this had an effect, if its effect was triggered when it was just normal summoned, I'd consider it a bit broken, but you have to wait at least a turn to use its effect, because when it's flip face up, not a flip effect. So if it's taken out, it might get its flip effect still. So top 5 cards up to that, and then if those are all plant types, they all get their effects. Then 2 copies of Sylvan Marshalleaf. It's a great card, but at 3 it's very cloggy. I mean, people run 3, but it's not that great when it's in your hand. You can excavate 2 cards when it's normal summoned, but I'd prefer Hermitree just excavating 1, and this being stacked on top of your deck instead. So that's why we only run 2. Then 2 copies of Lonefire Blossom, because this is a plant deck. You can't not run this card. Then 1 copy of Spore for your synchro capability, and copy plant for the same reason. And also because it can mimic levels of any plant, it also allows for great Xyz capability as well. Then 1 copy of Dandylion, again plants, obvious choice. And then 2 copies of Fallen Angel of Roses, because this gets your rank 7 plays off when Primal Origin comes out, and the rank 7 Sylvan comes out. This will be really good to help with it. It's like a Genex ally Birdman, same thing. It's just not a tuner. And then speaking of, we have a Genex ally Birdman as well for almost the same reason as Fallen Angel of Roses. This gets your synchros off as well, and this gets your Xyzs off. And you can also go into Leo with the 2 of these if you have enough plants on the field. And you can also return tokens with this, and I know because I've tried it and I've researched the ruling. Then we play 1 Debris Dragon, because it's a plant deck. You have a lot of things with under 500 attack that you can revive, and that's the reason why we play that. Then 1 Blaster, because People say I've heard people say don't play Blaster or any E-Dragons because it doesn't work with the deck. I disagree. This has worked many times. I mean, if you've got a Hermitree in your hand, which makes it almost a bit dead, you can discard this. I use this mainly for its destruction effect. If not, you can still execute your rank 7 plays with Fallen Angel of Roses. So it's a great card to play, and some people who would run an E-Dragon would run Redox or Tempest, but you have a higher fire body in this deck than any other attribute, so that's why we run Blaster, and it also has the highest attack. Then lastly, we play 2 copies of Effect Veiler because Breakthrough Skill and Phoenix Chain is too slow for this deck, so this card is really great for that purpose. Right, that's the monster lineup. For the spells, I'm not playing any OCG cards at the moment, so no Sylvan Charity, because I refuse to do deck profiles with cards that aren't out yet. So we play 3 copies of Mount Sylvania. This just gives you a good engine of which to mill or excavate or whatever, activating at the end of your opponent's turn, so to excavate, and also you can drop a plant from your hand or field to put a Sylvan card from your deck on top of your deck. So it's great for stacking as well. And then 3 copies of Miracle Fertilizer because it's just a broken card really. I mean, in exchange for your normal summon, you can special summon a plant from your graveyard, and then you can, if you have enough capabilities to go into an Xyz from that, this card won't leave the field because technically the plant type monster that you revived with it has not left the field either. So that's always good to know. And then 2 copies of Super Solar Nutrient because you can use this with fluff tokens. You've got a lot of level 2 or lower plant type monsters. You can get Lonefire out with this quite easily, and that's generally how I execute plays. Then 1 copy of Foolish Burial just because you want some stuff in your graveyard, possibly Dandylion to stall stuff, or Spore, anything you want really. Then 1 copy of Terraforming just in case you get this and not the field spell from the get-go. That's always good to know. And then finally for the traps we have 3 copies of Waboku. I tried Threatening Roar as some people suggested, but it's not a great card to run because if you, for example, set your Komushroomo, there's still a and someone like Night Beams your Threatening Roar, there's still a chance it can be destroyed. I just prefer this card because it works in scenarios other than just setting Sylvan Komushroomo and stuff, and you can chain it in the same way as you can chain Threatening Roar, so it's technically the same, but it works for your plays as well. Then 3 copies of Call of the Haunted because you need stuff back from your graveyard, and there's not always a Miracle Fertilizer around, so that's why we run that. And then finally the Solemn Warning just because it's too good not to play. Right, for the extra deck we have the card that we mainly go into, which is 2 copies of Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. Big 28 beta, has an amazing effect to detach an Xyz material once per turn during either player's turn, target 1 monster on the field, its effect is negated, and then it's unaffected by other card effects until the end phase. Works on itself, works on other people's cards. It's very good for situations. I say it's probably the best rank 8 there is. Then we play 1 Alsei because it bounces cards, and if you've run out of steam with your Felgrands, you can always bounce that back as well, so that's pretty good. And then I play a Master of Blades instead of a Dracosack because I don't have a Dracosack and I'm not prepared to pay like 45 to 50 quid for 1 card, so that's why Master of Blades is in here. It's still a pretty good card, it's a good substitute for Dracosack, and because you can get rank 7 plays off as well. Then 1 Mech-Equipped Engineer because it has a very good stall ability when you don't have the capability to go into Felgrand from the get-go, so that's always a good card as well. And then for the Synchros, because this has the conventional plant engine, this deck is quite synchro heavy at the moment, and probably will stay that way even after Primal Origin comes out. So we play one Armory Arm, one Black Rose Dragon, one Crimson Blader, a Formula Synchron for draw power, Iron Chain Dragon because I don't actually have an Orient Dragon to play. Otherwise, I'd play that instead because you can go into this from Debris Dragon, or you can play a Paladin Zectron. One or the other. It doesn't really matter which because Paladin Zectron has a great effect as well. That's just what I play. You don't have to, but then one Leo because it is really difficult to get rid of. On Scrap Dragon because it has a really great effect and it's just a very generic card. Then we have a Stardust Dragon because it's a level 8 and Shooting Star Dragon to go with it because you can go into Shooting Star with this, and if you do it's really great. And then finally a Star Eater. You may notice that's actually 16 because I differ between Iron Chain Dragon and Paladin Zectron for the time being. Right, and then for the side deck we have this isn't complete yet. I'll complete this when I actually take this deck to my locals, so because then I can actually specialise against what other people play there. At the moment it's a lot of Fire Fists and Bugens, to be honest, which is really annoying. So 2 copies of Dust Tornado because it's great. It's a great spell and trap destruction card. Then 2 copies of Imperial Iron Wall because anything that banishes is from your graveyard or anything like DD Crow or Book of Life can really hit this deck quite hard actually. Then 2 copies of Minecraft just because it's a generic card, and even then you can get a card like Hermitree to your graveyard or something. Then 2 copies of DNA Surgery for your type sensitive plays like Bugen matchups. And because Sylvans aren't actually that type sensitive, there are 1 or 2 cards that slip through the net, but apart from that, so DNA Surgery for that reason. Then a Light Imprisoning Mirror and a Shadow Imprisoning Mirror to finish that off. Right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe. Peace out.